am taking that in consideration too. So I saw a lot of value in completing this preference sheet.
That's very good. Thank you. And excuse me, I forgot to press record again. Welcome, lady. Is that how you say your name? Okay, great. Welcome. Thank you. I got a follow up for you, Kenyette, and then I'll come over to you as well. We're really just getting started. And hello, Chantel, as well. I know you are on the move today. Kenyette, I think this is one of the activities we did at the SBCOE conference. Is there any in your mind? Is there any comparison? How different was your responses from, we just kind of took a generic self-assessment versus the full assessment? Was there more articulation or anything that was different between what we did at the conference versus what it was like taking the full assessment? Or do you feel like it was pretty consistent, if you will?
I think it was pretty consistent.
That's
What I
good.
did see of value when I completed at the conference was I was able to see that there were other people like me, which made
Mm,
me feel it kind of normalized. It was normalizing for me in that way. So I appreciated doing it in that when we did in that group setting to see there were others
yeah.
like me. But I do think it was pretty consistent.
Good. I'm glad. That's helpful. That's helpful to know. And welcome back, Noreen. Lady, we're just going over that we took the assessment, and our initial activity or pre-work was the communication summary. Now, if you didn't do that, please don't worry or stress. I know we've all got busy times, but whether from your pre-worksheet or just reviewing your assessment, was there anything that stood out in terms of what your team may need to know about you?
Um, Potential areas of improvement that was very important for me because I tend to be very like to the facts and getting the work done, and so
Mm,
I love just having that in the back of my mind that I also need to, and sometimes I can, it says here, be blunt, so I have to also have like that balance and think about, like people and how they're
yeah,
feeling.
absolutely.
So
Yeah, that's
it's
good.
helpful to have that awareness.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Is this your first time taking an assessment like this?
Yes, it is.
Okay, lovely, lovely, lovely. Cool. Sabrina, I know you're in a meeting. Just want to check in with you, Chantel, Noreen. Is there any comments that you all want to make before we take our next step here to the next slide?
No, I'm just glad that I got my computer working, so we're all
Okay,
set. I had to get
good.
help with the audio. Yeah, but
Lovely.
so I did take the test, and I've never taken one, but it definitely describes me. I I'm very empathetic, and I like to work in a group. I'm pretty adaptable, it said, and I'm trying to think what other things. I have a big training we're doing for students on Monday, so I didn't get to complete that form as of yet.
Okay, okay. Not a problem. That works. Thank you for sharing those updates, and I'm glad you were able to get some time to complete the assessment as well, so that you can, use it as you go on. I see, Chantel, you put in the comments as well. You said I noticed my strengths seem very accurate, but the areas of challenge didn't feel like they rang as true. I'm interested in sharing with my manager to see what she thinks. That is a perfect next step. That is exactly what you should do. So the assessment should score with about an 87% accuracy, and the recommendation, if you think that there is something that's off, is to do exactly what you just said. Whether it's your manager, your partner, your spouse, your friends, ask them those questions. And so, Chantel, if you would like to put that exact statement in the chat, or come off mute at some point and share it, I'm happy to kind of go deeper and unpack it. There are many cases, and I think it's relevant here, where sometimes it's the words that we disagree with, but the meaning might be true. And so there was an example a couple weeks ago where there was a gentleman. He said his report said he holds grudges. And so he took that thought of holding a grudge to the extreme, as in like vengeful and resentment type of grudge. But the grudge, the example we use is, hey, I'm going to invite Kenyetta to an event tomorrow. It's not mandatory or anything, but I just say, hey, Kenyetta, do you want to come to this event with me? I have an extra ticket. If she says no, I might take that personally and not want to invite Kenyetta to an event again because I don't want to get rejected. Or I might remember that, hey, if I ask Kenyetta, she might not do it. So I might have some hesitation. That we can consider a grudge. That's an instance that we're holding on to and having a hard time letting go of, and it's impacting my decisions. Not on an extreme level like what we think of in the movies, but on a more minute or acute level with small decisions in deciding when you're going to go forward with a conversation, or you may be fearful of that conversation because of past responses as well. Hope that's helpful. I did hear that echo. I think we had we might have, I don't know why there's echo. I was gonna say somebody might be logged in twice, but I don't see so. Okay.
That grudge example was exactly the one I was thinking of.
Oh, really? Is there any clarifier that you want there, or does that resonate a little bit more?
No, yeah, that was helpful because I was imagining a grudge as like I'm walking around salty all day at work, which I'm
Yes.
not.
Yes. Another one, just as I think about it, there was a woman one time, she's a social worker in Maryland, Anne Arundel County in Maryland, and her report says she was manipulative, and she didn't like that either. And so I tried to explain or talk through her role, and her role was as a social worker or pupil support, she had to deal with truancy instances. And so the example we talked about was a student that may need to go up for a truancy hearing, and you give them a warning instead of submitting the paperwork for you give them a warning instead of submitting the paperwork for them to go into court. And so you're manipulating the system because you know that child has been working, you know they've been trying to perform and do the best they can, and because that they made one mistake, you're going to manipulate the system and not send them into a court case. So let's get into it. That's our I don't know why that says August 12th. I know it's September 25th. Thank y'all for joining me and coming in to do this work. I'm super excited to get going. And if you could just put in the chat, what made you want to sign up for today? Another way to put it is what might make this conversation a win for you? What would make today a win? And why was it important to sign up? Okay, thank you for sharing, Kenyetta. To be able to get my message across so that it's received, to continue growing personally and professionally, and knowing myself and others, to effectively communicate with my students during our upcoming year, information that might be helpful to reduce burnout. Love it. This is great. I think a lot of that is kind of outlined in the objective. So good job, Kenyetta and myself kind of combining to create that. Our goal is to help you leverage these strengths. And so you work hard to support other people, and you deserve the tools that help you feel more clear, confident, and calm at work too. So I want to help you understand your natural style and how it impacts your work, build better connections with your clients, coworkers, and students, as Noreen said as well, and then feel more clear, calm, and confident in your role. We just finished the first 10 minutes, and so now we're going to go into understanding the Platinum Rule and different communication styles, but the bulk of our time is going to be spent here debriefing your assessment and sharing some tools with you that you'll be able to use. So if you already looked at the presentation, I have made some updates as of the last hour. Me, I'm Trey. I live in South Carolina, and I'm actually moving on Saturday back to Indiana. My wife and I have 2 children. We have a third on the way in December, and I am doing a lot of traveling right now. So it doesn't always feel good leaving my wife at home with the kids while she's pregnant. So I'm excited to make that leap. And this is work that I've been doing since 2017. I went to a new church, and the pastor had a school. He invited me to campus. I observed teachers in class for about a month, once a week for a month. And when I got done, I spoke to the director about what I saw. Essentially, that teachers were teaching, but the students couldn't hear them. And there was a disconnect in the way they showed up. I couldn't tell if it was on the students or on the teachers, but as I did research, I found that awareness and management skills are lacking in undergraduate research or undergraduate certification and teacher prep programs. I saw that in SEL, adult SEL was the third step of implementation, but that's after we select a program, after we implement the program, and then we give the adults the skills. That's always felt backwards to me. So I've spent time understanding SEL. I have a implementation certification for SEL and character development from Rutgers. I have a career specialist certification, the assessment you took today, DISC and emotional intelligence. And I've also worked with companies like Panorama and Seven Mindsets to deliver and implement SEL or MTSS work in over 130 districts across the nation. So this work is near and dear to my heart, and I appreciate you for joining me on this journey here. Why strengths are important is because leaders who know their strengths and use their strengths with purpose are more productive. Just if you didn't, anybody that took the assessment, even if they did not show up today, as long as they read it, they're getting better. Because awareness leads to productivity and less likelihood to quit. As Kenyatta, you were expressing, you know how when people give you feedback a certain type of way, it's not going to work. Just knowing that, you can stop somebody before they trigger you. Hey, Chantel, I know you have an issue right now. I can't talk to you like this. Circle back with me in an hour or after you get your thoughts together, or let me get my thoughts together. Tell me what we're talking about so I can be ready. This energy that you're giving me right now is not going to be good, and I don't want to match your energy right now. Just knowing that can change the way that you show up for your people. And I don't want us to get confused or caught up in titles here as well. As I say leaders, Noreen, you mentioned getting ready for your kids. You're leading those kids, right? You don't have to be a building leader or a site leader or have a title for me to consider you a leader here. I'm talking about your house. You know, maybe the man is the head of the house, maybe the woman is the head of the house, but we both have roles and we both have duties to lead from our perspective scenario. So don't get caught up in the manager versus individual contributor language. Think about it in relation to your scenario. You, as far as today, you are the manager. And based on what managers say, we think that we are giving the people we work with, we think that we're telling our students that they're doing a good job and we're recognizing them for their progress. But they disagree. There's a 25-point gap in how we think we're recognizing our people versus how they are receiving it. And this goes right in line with what you mentioned earlier, Kenyatta. If I'm telling somebody thank you verbally when I walk past them in the hallway, but they're an I style and they like public acknowledgement, just because you said thank you to me in the hallway, I want you to shout me out in the newsletter, shout me out in the staff meeting. That's how I feel special. So you think you're doing a good job by pulling me in your office and telling me good job? That doesn't feel good to me. I want everybody else to know that you think I'm doing a good job. And I can have I can have a thought or opinion. Well, that's egotistical. That's narcissistic. That's what makes that person feel good. And that's not our place to judge. Provides weekly feedback, 50 to 20. And so I'm going to go with your comment here too, lady. Just being direct. You know, sometimes we can give feedback and it sounds like a suggestion. There was, you know, using the same example I was talking to as a small team, and one of the ladies said she had a hard time saying yes or a hard time saying no to things. And her direct supervisor was giving her directive on how to give feedback or how to answer those questions. So he gave her direct feedback where previously he had not given her direct feedback. He wasn't giving her the specifics or the questions that she could ask as well. And then you see the trend here with the collaborative team. So essentially, managers think we're doing better than our staff does. And this is a Gallup research from 2023, focused on employees and managers across the country, the world. I think there was 20,000 participants in this. Bringing it closer to home, I looked at our onboarding survey, and one of the questions was, how are you currently using your strengths? And so somebody said open communication with their supervisor, reflecting on comments during discussions, review, and then follow up. This was the first part of this was actually, it said, as an introvert, I reflect on comments during discussion. So that was a caveat I left out. Developing partnerships with organizations using people skills, working with individual groups where communication trust have been difficult to establish, understanding perspective of peers and partners. So those are things that we're already doing right now to learn and leverage our strengths based on what we know. In the model or framework that we believe in for strengths-based training and everyday strengths is that to achieve personal and professional effectiveness, we have to develop our awareness skills. Once we begin to gain awareness, then we can manage our behavior, our actions, our emotions, our decisions. And as you master the self aspect, then it goes into the social aspect. So this is essentially the same as emotional intelligence. There's self loops and social loops. And as we master one, we can master the other, and it's a continuous cycle of improvement. And it's a cycle because our life is constantly changing and our demands are constantly changing. I mentioned that I'm moving in 2 days. And in October, I've got 21 days that I'll be on the road. So first, I have a coach that I talk to once a week to help me think through these things so I'm not overwhelmed. And so I thought I had something that was important for me to go through, but knowing me, I get overwhelmed and I think I can just do everything. And so I don't do the best job of asking for help. And the point or feedback I got today was, Trey, you need to know what's happening in October. Like, how are you going to manage your time? When are you going to rest? What are you going to eat? Like, going back and forth, we want to keep your energy and not get sick along the way. So just having somebody to know, like, hey, Trey, this isn't your cup of tea. You have blind spots. You need to have people around that can help you uncover those blind spots and show you where to show up or how to show up. Those pieces take us into the platinum rule. So how do I understand myself? How do I understand people? Chantel and Kenyetta, this may be familiar to you because we did this in a session that you participated in previously. Oops. All right. So the platinum rule, treating people the way that they want to be treated, is different than the golden rule, which talks about treating people the way we want to be treated. The difference is folks don't want to be treated the same. The 5 love languages is another great example for us to look at this. And I can be a rather personable guy. So for my wife and I, her love language is like gift giving and acts of service. On her birthday this past year, I got that lady a lot of things. I got her like 8 things. I got her, we went out to eat and stuff, but I did not get her flowers on her birthday. And that was a problem because she told me that she wanted flowers on her birthday. She told me that a couple times that she wanted flowers on her birthday. But instead of getting her flowers on her birthday, I got her gift cards and dinners and clothes and order stuff and all that. She wanted flowers. Can I get some flowers on my birthday, Trey? That's all she asked. And so here I am trying to do what I think that she wants, and she has very clearly communicated to me how she feels special and how she feels loved. It's the opposite for me. She can give me gifts and things, but I'd rather have a hug. Like give me a hug, and physical touch, words of affirmations are what's powerful for me. And so one of the things that is harder, or your question may be, well, how do I know how to treat somebody else? And within the DISC styles that we have, there's 4 common characteristics. DISC is not like a Myers-Briggs or any personality type assessment. It's actually looking at observable needs-based behavior. So if you have a D on the first page, you're going to see 2 letters and a slash, or you're going to see 1 to 3 letters, a slash, and some more letters. And on the top corner of each page, you're also going to see some letters. They may be uppercase or lowercase. Those are your natural and adapted, natural and adapted, but also your primary and secondary styles. So if you have a D, you're like Fred from the Flintstones. Never met a problem you can't solve, never met an issue that you couldn't overcome, very independent, see the big picture. Shaggy and Scooby, we wake up with energy. I say we because I'm a high I style too. We're not the most organized, we're not the most detailed. We're upbeat, we're motivating, funny, and humorous, but we will need some follow-up so that we don't get off track. Daphne, um, she's very harmonious, patient, helpful, friendly, cooperative. You'll notice that she's not going to want to leave anybody behind. And that's the same way that S styles are in buildings, whether it's an organization or a school community. There's people that just kind of watch and listen and they make sure that nobody is left unattended or that's left out of the process. And then you have Velma, who is your analytical, precise, and questioning character. And her role is to dot the I's and cross the T's. She sees all the little things in life. These show up though in different seasons in different ways. And so, Noreen, right now, some of your kids may be showing up in these ways. They're assertive, they're visionaries, collaborative, analytical. But once we get to the springtime and it gets hot again, those same attributes start to look like they're more aggressive or unrealistic or dependent, indecisive. And you may have a scenario in your mind right now that what I'm saying is relevant. It may be at home. It may be at school. It may be with your clients or your patients or the people that you're providing and partnering with. But there may be a relationship or a scenario that you're thinking about. They usually show up like this, but under stress, when they're triggered, those things look different. Pausing for air here before I ask you all to engage with me again. Any questions or thoughts? Okay, we're good to go. All right. So let's just test this theory out. For me, y'all have been with me for now for 30 minutes. Am I more direct and fast-paced in my communication or indirect and slow-paced? You can come off mute and tell me or put some thoughts in the chat as to how you see me presenting myself here today.
I would say indirect, slower pace.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Lady Noreen Chantel.
To me, direct, fast paced.
Okay. What's giving you direct and fast pace, lady?
Well, you're just kind of explaining everything, as you go. And also I'm bilingual. So
Mm,
I take more time to process things.
mm. Do you want me to slow down a little bit?
Oh yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
I mean, I still, understand it. It's just like I'm kind of
Yeah.
dragging
Kind
a
of
little bit.
fast.
Yeah.
Fast pace. Understood. Thank you. And Kenyatta, what makes you feel like it's more of a slower pace?
To be honest with you, because I'm comparing you to me,
Mm,
because I'm like
okay.
1,000 words per minute. And so
I like it. I can appreciate that. Okay. How about on the other side? Am I more guarded and task oriented or open and people oriented?
I would say open and people oriented.
What gives
Same.
me away there? Okay, good, good, good. I would say you're right. Is there anything that lets you know that this is true about me?
I just know because I met you one time in person, so I got a sense of the energy that you were given was more of this people oriented. You've
Mm,
always been so kind and respectful. So
thank you for saying that. And I see you as well, Noreen, your personal stories. Um, and Chantel says, I feel like you are working well, but are direct and good at explaining the topic. Um, and I think did I see another piece? Okay. Yes, thank you for those comments. I like it. And it's fluid, right? So my scores are primarily fast-paced and people-oriented. So I'm a high I. But right now at this season in my life, we are moving, we're selling a house, we are buying a house, we are doing a lot of things. I would probably say I'm more D right now than I because of the scenario that I'm in. And so when we transition from one role to another, when we lose somebody that we loved, when we have a breakup or a new scenario, that can change how we show up. And so I like to take this assessment twice a year to see how my scores have changed. And so earlier when I would take the assessments, I was really high I style. And over the last 7, 8 years, I've shifted to be more of a balance between the D and the I style, and they may go back and forth between scenarios. And another factor for this, so D styles, we want control. Let me see if this is on the next page. Yeah, D styles, we want to have approach risk and decision or change quickly. We want to be frequent contributors. We're not as patient. We're more competitive, more likely to introduce self to others at social gathering, and also use firm handshakes. Indirect behaviors are going to approach risk and decision more slowly. They're not going to contribute as much and may be more diplomatic and more patient. Initial eye contact is intermittent. So this is a spectrum. We go from very direct to very indirect. And each style influences the other. So while I say I have a high I and D style, I maintain those high styles because they help me keep control of the details. Sorry, I'm going crazy here. I've got another slide later that'll detail what I'm trying to say here. That spectrum is also true for open and guarded behaviors. So open behaviors are going to be more self-disclosing, showing and share feelings freely, versus guarded behaviors are going to be more nonverbal, non-demonstrative with your body language as well. Now, I think this is the moment that we are really excited for, and I'm going to ask you to pull up your assessment report, and we're going to do a bit of a debrief. Through that, this is also a great time to ask specific questions about your report if you have questions about what the results mean and how you show up there. Once you have your report, we're going to start on page 5 and 6, and then we're going to work our way through page 10. Let me get set up there. I saw you flipping your pages, lady. You are ready. Just put a thumbs up in the chat for me so I know.
I just don't have, like, I'm looking at the page. Hold on. I'm a little confused.
Are you
Pages
missing
5
the page
and
number?
6. I don't know where I have like pages 20 and I don't see any.
This is the, you're looking at you printed your report, you're saying?
I got it. I got confused.
Right. Give me one moment. I'm pulling mine up here as well. And that's going slow today. Almost there. So lady, I know you have yours. Chantel, I know you have yours. Noreen, are you good? And Kenyetta, you both have your reports?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay. All right. So this should be pulling up here shortly. And I have a sample report for us to get into once it loads. Okay, so this is my sample report here. As I mentioned earlier, you have your style. This one is an I and ID. And then as I go down, page 1 through 4 are really generic. These are the observable characteristics. So this page right here, I often will use as a quiz or as a self-assessment. This is already a DISC self-survey, but if you just wanted to make copies of this page alone and give it to some of your colleagues or your peers or your kids, your patients, whoever you're working with, there's a worksheet. I'll show you how to access it later. But essentially, you're going to circle the ones that are most like you. And at the bottom, tally up those scores, and it's going to give you an idea of which one is your primary versus secondary styles. Now on page 4 and 5, what we're going to do is I'm literally going to have you read each paragraph independently. And we're going to put a plus by what we agree with and a minus by what we disagree with. So this says you have a high level of trust when working with others. This is a strength. People will trust you because they get a sense that you trust them. So I may stop there, or I might just read the whole paragraph, and I'm going to put a plus by that, or a minus if I disagree. Where we put minuses, that's where we go and get that clarity from our managers or our spouses and partners as well. But the positives are showing us that, okay, this is pretty accurate. Page 5 is very similar, but the page 4 is a narrative paragraph summary of your style. Page 5 is a style overview. So there's 15 different types of communication styles based on observable behavior. And this is showing us the most common behavioral insights that we'll see as to how folks show up in different situations. Okay, I'm gonna give you about 5 minutes here to explore page 5 and 6 and just put those pluses and minuses and thoughts. Once you're done, we'll move on to page 7 to 10. And again, that's going to be a great place for you to ask questions about your results. I'm going to give you a timer here. You don't need 15 minutes. I think it'll be about 7 or less. Got 2 minutes here. Put some comments in the chat. Again, as you've seen through our conversation, your thoughts may be helpful for someone else as well. So just any insights that come about through page 5 and 6, and also any questions that you may have and would like to get addressed for page 5 and 6. Well, 20 seconds here. Do we need more time? Was 7 minutes enough? Okay. I guess
Oh,
I
I'm
asked two.
fine, thank you.
That was enough time? Okay. Good. Perfect. I think that page is pretty straightforward. You know, one of the pieces that I like to say about the assessment is it gives me words that help me articulate things that I've known about myself, but maybe struggle to say sometimes. And so I implore you to find ways that you may, so here we go. When stressed, may become indecisive or vacillate on positions. So I want to think about when might have been the last time I did that. Thinking about this moving scenario, the last 2 or 3 years with me and my wife, I have not had any horse in the race wherever we want to go. But once my wife said she was ready to move back to my hometown, I was ready as well. So that was a vacillating between positions, contributing to others, easily engages with others on the team and encourages open dialogue. So again, both ways. When you come up for a performance review, you're looking to get a promotion, you're looking to switch roles. This is language that you can use. Tell me about yourself. Well, I engage really easily with folks and I encourage them with open dialogue. I'm often good at promoting ideas and concepts and take requests of others to get things done. Going down to page 7 to 10, this is where things get a little bit fun and you see some of the nuance in how we're showing up and what this means. So we have our adapted word sketch. This is an observable, needs-motivated behavior assessment. As I said before, there is no good or bad responses. But what we do see is a chart of how we show up in an adapted setting. And in this case, adapted is at work. So we've got our 4 styles, and these tell us what the drivers are. This first box is the focus. The D needs to solve problems. If there's a problem, they just want to solve it. Like, I don't care about any roses. This is the problem. Where's the solution? Let's do that. Their emotions may come across more angry or impatient, and fear being taken advantage of or lack of control. So knowing this, a lot of leaders are D styles. So leaders may bring a high intensity in their energy. They may bring, like I'm talking, now I am speaking about role-specific leaders, building leaders, site leaders, things like that. They may have deadlines that you don't know about. They may have stresses and just trying to keep it together with strength. And they may feel like they have already taught these things or there's a policy. And so I might be impatient because I have this deadline and it wasn't communicated appropriately at one step or the other down the line. And so you feel more of that energy. The I, social relationships, friendly environments, optimism, and trust. They also fear being left out and loss of approval. So these folks really want to be liked and have those environments. This is the example of, hey, you told me you like me in the hallway, but nobody else knows. Like the staff doesn't know that you acknowledge me as well. Pace and consistency. These are your system folks, your team folks that need a stable environment. They're very patient and non-expressive, but don't want to have sudden change or loss of stability. And then the C, again, is procedures and constraints, really focused on rules to follow, data to analyze. Emotions are fear and concern, and fear is being criticized or loss of accuracy. Going down from here, you'll see these ratings from 1 to 6. Below this line right here is unobservable behavior, meaning I don't put enough energy into these categories to have a public display or for you to necessarily perceive some of these things about me. You might not know that I'm mild or unobtrusive or I'm really weighing the pros and cons. You might not know, you can't really see me being autonomous or independent or firm until you get to know me. What you will see from me, though, in public is being emotional, enthusiastic, gregarious, impulsive, optimistic, and persuasive. And the fact that it's at a 6, that means I put a lot of effort and energy into this as well. Whereas I don't put the same level of effort and energy into these ones, and or those are not my natural strengths. For your natural words style or your natural word sketch, it's the same idea, but notice that I have a shift here. So I still have a 6 for my I, but my D goes from a 2 to a 5. And so that shift is going to show up on page 9. See if I can go 1 inch closer. So here we have the letters in a different format. So I see that my 30 natural and 27 adapted are pretty aligned. 20 and 30 are aligned. 98 and 91. So 98 means that this is a strength that's overextended. We might be too people-oriented. We might be too focused on relationships and not enough on getting things done. But here's the kicker for me, or from my perspective, is look at how this goes from 73 down to 30. And so that essentially means that I'm taking my decisive nature and I'm suppressing that in my workplace. This is where burnout comes from. And so I found that there's like 3 ways that this shift happens. Either A, that shift is so great because I'm in a new role and I'm getting adjusted. Whether that's a new building that I'm getting into, a new position, maybe I have a new house, a new spouse, a new whatever, because the change could go both ways. So this one is natural to adapted, but it could also be very well the other way. I've seen like single moms with 3 kids have this high D, but then when they come to work, it looks just like this because they don't have to worry about making as many decisions. Or on the contrary, you may have somebody that is used to making all the decisions at work, but when they go home, they're not making as many decisions. So again, those gaps are where I recognize incidents of stress. If there's a point difference greater than 20, 30 to 73, that's 43 points, that's where I may have a likelihood for stress. And so I want to know, is that because I'm transitioning? Is it seasonal? Am I unaware of a blind spot, or am I growing? And it could be a combination of the 3. Last page, and then we'll take questions and we'll look at these, how you all see fit. Page 7 to 10 is all the same information in 4 different ways to look at it. And so last one was a bar graph. This is a wheel. And so what this wheel is showing me is how different or how much shift is happening from my natural style to my adapted style. So even though there was a shift that you saw on my word sketches, it's not great. It's relatively minor because they're both in persuasive. Now, as you look at the chart or the wheel, if you are closer to the outside edge of the ring, the more consistent you show up in that same way. Not really going to have much fluctuation. But the closer to the center of the ring that we get here, that means you may be more flexible and adaptable when it comes to meeting the needs of other folks. I have a school leader who I used to work with, and he was right in the middle, and it was a charter school, so he wore every hat. He owns the multi-million-dollar budget. He also owns the instructional staff and manages all 40 people, including like HR and payroll and stuff. And then he does muffins for moms and donuts for dads, and he goes live for parent nights and stuff. But then he also has to know when to sit and listen and feel the energy of what's going on in the school building. That's not how every leader shows up, but that is how he showed up. Okay? So now it's your turn to explore those pages 7 to 10 and review your natural and adapted style. I'm able to pull up all of your reports. So if you'd like to say, hey, Trey, can you just pull up my report for a moment and give me some insight as to what you see? I'm happy to do that as well. I'm gonna give us about 9 minutes here, 9 or 10 minutes. Let's go with 10. Oh, we'll do 9. And again, if you have thoughts as you go through, let me know, please.
I put a question in the chat. Page 7 and 8, those colored bars that look like L's around the different like things. Is that specific to me? Is that why those are highlighted?
That's absolutely right. Yes. So these bars here, that represents where your score falls in the assessment. So being this middle gray line being the energy line, any score that you have below means that these are unobservable behaviors, and above is observable. So yes, this being your natural style is literally the same information right here.
Right. And so you were saying like it's where you put your energy as well. So like if I have something that's a 2, unobservable means I don't do it, it doesn't relate to me, or it's something I do that other people don't see.
Something that you do that other people don't see, / it's not a focus for you. Like here, the focus for D style is problems and challenges. So I'm putting, I don't know how to convert 5 to a percentage, but I'm putting all my energy into solving problems and challenges. I'm putting all my energy into people and contacts. That's going to be very clear in the way that I show up. What's not going to be clear when you're communicating with me is how you didn't see the prep I did for this call. You didn't see how many times I reviewed the information to get ready. You didn't see the errors that I found or how impatient I got with the links that were broken in the process of getting here, right? So those are things that you don't necessarily get to see. So it doesn't mean that I'm not trying or I'm not putting energy there, but I'm putting my energy here. So I'm taking risk, being direct and forceful. And by doing that, that actually informs some of my decisions and autonomy on the lower energy sides.
So the lower energy can almost be thought about like the things that you just do because that's your personality, whereas the higher numbers are the things you're consciously putting energy into.
These are good questions, Chantel. And so to speak, I don't even know if it's just as we're talking, I think a lot of it is all subconscious until you kind of have that level of clarity and awareness to what's actually going on. So like I don't go through my day thinking like, hey, you know what? I'm not very organized. Let me forget to dot my I's and cross my T's. That's not necessarily how I do it. But because I am a people person, I do say, hey, Trey, you don't dot your I's and you don't cross your T's. You need a system to make sure that all those dots are dotted, or the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And so for me, my energy is in the people side. I want to work with the people, so I need systems that keep me from having to be very analytical. Or now I just onboarded a new team member who can dot the I's and cross the T's for me so I can continue doing the people part. Am I answering your question? I have another
Yeah,
page that would
yeah,
actually be
yeah.
helpful
That's
for you.
helpful.
Okay.
That's helpful.
Good thoughts, good questions. Any other questions that come up? I'm gonna try to pull up. I think I screenshotted this the other day, but I don't know if I can find it. I'm gonna try to show you again because every style is influenced by each other, and I just want to show you what those influences look like. We still have about 5 minutes here, and if there's more questions, again, I'm happy to pull up your report or answer any direct questions. If you don't want it pulled up, I can still answer your questions as well.
Could you pull up mine, please, and just tell me what
Break
you
it down a
see?
little bit.
Yeah.
Yes. Downloading. Just give me a moment to let it generate. I'll get you covered. Got too many tabs open. Turn my camera off for a moment. All right. Here we go. Almost. Sorry, y'all. Lady, is there any, as this is loading, is there anything specific that you are curious about as I scroll down?
No, I just want to make sure I'm understanding it right. So kind of
Okay.
just wanted to know what you thought.
Yep. All right. Okay, so this is my favorite page to look at to start. With your assessment, I'm on page 9. So the first couple things I see is obviously your S is your top style, and that is true for your natural and adapted. And then your secondary style is a C, and it's slightly below the energy line here. So my first thought is this is what I call a strong positive correlation, meaning your natural strengths and your adaptive strengths are the same. There is a shift in the number or the percent, but the style is the same. So SC is one pattern and S is the other. So that shows consistency in the way you're showing up. And then we have another thing that shows you consistency, and in case that's not clear, so you put, I know this is not going to equal 100, but you put 52% of your energy into being rule focused versus 48% of your energy at work. Minimum, probably. This natural style is the S style, so it's at 98. So that means that this is where it's a strength overextended, meaning that you might rely too much on this style in your home life or outside of your professional space. In the workplace, though, it's a good balance. What is your role?
I'm a child mental health therapist at a
Child
school,
mental health
elementary school. Mhm.
Got it. Okay. So yeah, that this makes sense to me. Your nature for supporting children, that's where the patient focus comes in. The analytical nature, dealing with mental health, we have a lot of documentation and things that go on. And then you do see a slight shift from 41 to 34. So that's just in decision making. I would imagine that you're making decisions based off of legislation and expectations. So there's not much variety in some of the things that you can do. But in the places where you do have variety control, you're entering that with a lot of supportive nature. Is
Great,
that
thank
clear?
you. Yeah.
Here you see it says if your score is under 10 or over 90, these are extended scores where the behavior becomes a need. If expressing that behavior is impossible, you likely will create situations where behavioral need can be met. And so when we're looking at yours, what you're really striving for, what this is saying is, I need pace and consistency. If at home it's not at my pace, I am not okay. And whatever I got to do to get back to my pace, I'm going to do it. It's going to be through systems, teams, and a stable environment, but my environment has to be loyal, calming, patient, peaceful, and I will do my part to make sure that I maintain my peace. That's what I'm seeing there. And I saw your smiles too, so I think that sounds about right. Good. Follow-up questions or thoughts here? I see your other comments from earlier, lady. Your general characteristics describe me well, or your general characteristics describe you well. Good. Okay. Anything else for you, lady? Any other follow-up questions?
So in the natural style, that number 8, page number 8 at the bottom, those are things that I guess I don't do as much.
So these are, let me see if I have a specific language to say. There's another component that goes a little bit deeper. Here we go. If your DISC intensity scores are at level 1 and 2, your emotions and needs are at the opposite of those at the levels of 5 and 6. So meaning this need is of much more emotional importance than this need. And what I was saying before, though, like you having that peaceful environment that you desire is what gives you the freedom to think logically. That gives you the freedom to take calculated risk. That gives you the freedom to be analytical and sensitive and tactful. But if this thing right here is not where I need it to be, this other stuff isn't working.
Oh, okay, got it.
So they all kind of work together, but this one is the biggest influence, and it has an influence over these other 3 styles. So having that space of consistency and peace is important for you because it trickles down into everything else that you're doing.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
No problem. Noreen, Chantel, Kenyatta, any questions or thoughts from you here?
No, just the fact that my D's are almost non-existent in adapted and natural. So I came out as an SI and a CSI. So
Okay. Is that an issue? Do you see instances where you may need to express more of a problem-solving nature, or is that appropriate for your role?
Well, at work, no. I would say, though, because I was raised in an alcoholic home, I'm codependent. So I try to fix everything. So it doesn't come as a surprise that the D's are non-existent. I mean, and those family situations have not changed. I just had to put up boundaries. But
Yeah,
that's hard. Being, in your 50s, you deal with it your whole life. And I finally
absolutely.
set boundaries. But yeah, I definitely see that I have the green on the S, calm and everything that's on top.
As long as you are not thinking about your lack of D as a problem, I'm okay with that. That's okay. What that tells me, Noreen, is you have to be more conscious about when you need to be direct in your decision making. Does
Right,
that
and
make
I've
sense?
never taken a test like this before, so I was kind of like surprised.
Yeah. You talk about boundaries. I can't remember, Noreen, if you said you had time or didn't have time to finish this, but that opening activity that we did, it's on page 16. This is how you set boundaries. If you go through and take the time to complete this document, it will give you confidence to continue setting boundaries with your family and at home. Because what
Okay,
you're going to
yeah,
do
sounds
is,
good. Yeah.
what you end up doing with this, we're going to look at communication do's and don'ts all throughout. So there's 7 bullet points listed here. What I'm going to ask you to do, Noreen or lady, what you've done already as well, is pick the 2 most important ones for you. So this says give lady time to verify the issues and assess potential outcomes. Do, be candid, open, logical, and patient, but don't threaten her with position or power, and don't be domineering or demanding. So those 2 things for me, I know that when I get passionate, I get very convicted in my tone. And I know that my voice can start to get deeper and it can sound stronger and it can sound like I'm mad or things like that. So I would have to be conscious in a conversation with lady, particularly if it was like a high stress or intensity situation. I may say, "Hey, lady, know that this conversation is not personal to you. I might get excited and express my emotions in a big way. If that's uncomfortable for you, please let me know. Or if you think that if it's starting to feel personal, please let me know as well." So I might see that this is a don't for her and give us a forewarning. Hey, I'm a little amped up right now. Please calm me down if needed, or if you're uncomfortable, we don't have to continue this right now. But this is where we're able to set those boundaries. Now, I know you may not actually hand this paper over to some people in your personal life, but I have had somebody that took this into their job interview to help their new boss understand some of their expectations as well. So all through these pages, you get those, pick your top 2, pick your top 2 for each category, and then you end up with a complete worksheet. All right. With our remaining time here, I actually want to get you into your resources. So in about 15 minutes, I'm going to give you access to something I've been working on for about a year. It's still like a beta. We've done some alpha testing. This will be the beta. And it's really to give you all these tools in a way that you can use them and download them as you see fit without having to navigate all kinds of links and stuff. So I'm interested in getting your feedback once it becomes time. But this is also available in your welcome letter, and I'll show you how to find it. These are ways that we modify how we show up. So I just mentioned, hey, if I'm speaking with lady and it's a tense situation, I may have to modify my approach by making decisions more slowly, avoiding arguments and conflict. I may develop trust and credibility over time, or get to know them personally. And so here are the strategies that we recommend. So those 2 people in your mind that you can't stand or you hate talking to at work or that get on your nerves at home, these are the slight adjustments that we can start to make to get on the same page with them. And then from a communication under conflict standpoint, this is what is important to me, because I think this is where we struggle when we communicate in conflict, and so many of us are uncomfortable with it when we have to go through the obstacle to overcome it. And so general tips for all styles: active listening. I'm still so surprised at how hard it is for people to listen. And simple techniques like mirroring or repeating what people say will let them know that they're heard. But not being able to do that, like not nodding, making eye contact, paraphrasing and stuff, that's going to make it so people don't necessarily feel heard. We can do our best to maintain a calm tone, set clear objectives, follow up after the conversation. This is big for me. As teams grow, I style like me, I'm not going to remember what I said I was going to do. I'm going to promise you the moon, and I'm going to forget it as soon as I clock out for work. So we've got to make sure we follow up in a way that can be documented. So I'll say digital. And then we also want to be open to feedback. Here are a few strategies for you. And I'm going to give you your time as well to explore some of these, because I'm going to show you where your toolbox is. But when we're communicating with the D style, we want to be direct, concise, focus on the results, and ask for their input. For the I style, we're going to engage with positivity, share stories and examples, encourage collaboration. For the S, we create a safe environment, use empathy and support, provide reassurances. And then for when you're communicating with the conscientious style, we're going to prepare thoroughly, focus on solutions, and be respectful. So those are some tips. I want to give us about 10 minutes here to work on this worksheet. It's called Creating Better Relationships. So I want you to think about some people. You can use those two questions, the open or guarded, direct or indirect, to figure out where they kind of fall on the spectrum for the DISC style, and then use some of these adaptability tools to determine what action you'll take to increase your harmony in that relationship, whether it's a student, an adult, a personal or professional relationship. And let me get into, this is where you're going to find it. So on your welcome letter page, under the agenda, you have the onboarding survey, which we complete. And then you have the worksheet here. Here it is: Style, Tension, and Better Relationships. You'll be asked to make a copy of this, and then you'll be able to go down and answer the questions. This is a kind of a precursor. So we're seeing, where does tension show up? Lady, I'm going to keep using you as an example, if that's okay. I'm an I style, and she is an S style. And you kind of expressed it a little bit earlier, but where we would have challenges if we were working together would be pace, right? I'm a bit faster paced. I'm talking a bit faster. You know, if I was talking to Kenyetta, this would be different. I might be too slow for Kenyetta based on what she mentioned. But for me, I might be too fast. And so your comments earlier telling me to slow down, that would be ideal for how we work together. I might need reminders to slow down, or I might need to tell you, like, hey, lady, we've got 48 hours to make this decision. So I know that's not typically your style, but think about what questions you want to ask this afternoon so we can push the button on this. Priority is more of the task side. So if again, I go with me and Kenyetta, and I'm just picking on you, Kenyetta, but if I'm an I style, when we start a meeting, I'm ready to check in. How you doing? What's going on this weekend? You know, how's the family? How's the kids? Kenyetta's like, this is not on the agenda. Let's get to the next line item. Okay. If you want to add formalities to the opening, we can do that. But if it's not on the agenda, let's not talk about it. So our butting heads is going to be with the people versus guarded. And so I may have to say, like, Kenyetta, can you just give me 5 minutes? I just got to get something off my chest. And she may say, hey, Trey, we got 30 minutes to finish this meeting. Let's get all the important stuff done first. And then with whatever time we have left, we can check in and chat. But on the bottom, here's where you'll see your actions to fill in. So you'll just make a copy here, and then you can fill in what you need. And what I have for you is an adaptability toolbox. So there's two versions of this. So what you see in here is just the tools. And so I have the open and guarded document. So you can see those different types of behavior styles. We've got a navigating difficult conversation document. This is the screenshots that I just showed you. We also have one called DISC and conflicting behaviors. So we may, since you tend to focus on your own results, you may tend to become autocratic in order to get your way. So this one is telling you how you may show up under conflict generally based on your assessment. And again, you can use this maybe with parents, with some students, with your colleagues as well. You've got that worksheet, and this is the adaptability workbook. So some of the other pieces that I showed you, like the how we modify and communicate with each style, that's in the adaptability workbook specifically. Okay. Any questions that you all have? All right. Take about, it's 3:46. So let's take 6 minutes and just give you a time to fill in the style, tension, and better relationships activity. And we'll wrap up with any questions that you have, okay? I'm gonna put in the chat our feedback survey for today. Got about 8 minutes to wrap up and collect the feedback. If you finish that one when you're done, I'll give you about 2 more minutes to finish the feedback survey, and then we'll transition over, and I want to make sure I get you your resources for today. And another cool option you'll have is work. This is the same QR code. If you prefer to scan it with your phone. All right. So I'm gonna put one more link in the chat here, and this is for your resources. So I'll make sure I add this to the welcome letter just in case you lose it. But your welcome letter, these resources right here aren't going anywhere. So if you want to download them or request to follow with me at any time, you're welcome to make a copy or download them. Do what you need to do with these resources. And then this second link I just dropped in the chat. This is, I want to build a larger community. And so what I found is through these sessions, it is very helpful to get the content, but then once you get back into the swing of things, it's kind of hard to maintain. And it's even more difficult if you're the only one on your team that's participated in the work. So in this link that I submitted or provided you is to a school community. And so there's a couple different platforms you can have. There's level 2, which it's an unlock because you essentially would purchase an assessment, and there's additional tools that you'd be able to use as a team. But what we have here is your everyday strengths level 1. And so a lot of the resources that I have available and that we've developed over the last year are here with instruction manuals and guides as well. So this activity helps you understand your communication style and how to work better with others. Here's how to use this resource. Again, you can use this as you see fit. What I see down the future is training the trainer. So schools that I will work with, you will be able to embed this system in your community without necessarily needing access to me or somebody from my team. So there's resources here. This is a communication style facilitation guide. And so if you want to do this with a small cohort, or you want to lead a similar training with your staff, you can use this. Facilitation guide for my communication summary. And it's going to give you an introduction, a style identification, and then how to use this as an individual or a small group. So it's breaking down a timeline for how you can implement this. And then we have the activity. So you all, for joining today, were able to participate in the full assessment. But if you at your school need a PD, need a PLC session, we've got these here for you. And so even if I click this description, it's going to take me to a YouTube video that's going to provide details about that style.
This brief presentation will provide great insight.
So even though anybody at your team was not present today, you can still be a strengths champion in your community. So we've got awareness tools for understanding self, this awareness inventory activity, helps participants to think about what are their challenges and what are they successful at, both at work and home. So what are your professional challenges? What are some of your personal challenges? And then what are we going to do with these things? There's an adaptability section, which has some of the information that you've already seen, like creating better relationships, the power question style type spectrum. So let's select your style type there. And then we've got workbooks. So these are more extended activities, but this is pretty much 3 or 4 activities into one. And so it'll be a mini version of the assessment, not the full one. So it's not customized like what you all just took, but all the generic details about DISC and how it works are in here. We got the same DISC wheel, those documents. Oops. Voila. So this one is focused on the DISC communication styles. This one is focused on emotional intelligence, and everyday strengths combines both of them. Okay. Now, as a result, so we have 1, 2, 3 folks here. We still have, I know Sabrina had to leave, so we'll keep Sabrina in this as well. I would like you to think about 2 or 3 people. So we had 25 assessments available. I think we had 10 people use them. So we got about 15 assessments remaining. That means each of you may have an option for about 2 more, 2, 4, 6, 2 to 3 assessments. I want you to think about 2 to 3 people in your staff that need to take this as well. Who else on your team should take this or would take this if given the opportunity? And when you have that information, what would be the best way? You all can email me those names and I will share a link with you. Okay. No problem. Feel free to email me with this, but think about 2 or 3 people that you'd like to participate in this as well, and I'll send you a direct link to those, okay? Any final questions? We're at 4 o'clock, right on the dot. I see your message too. If you would like a certificate of participation for today's session, please complete the following survey. This is lovely. And I'll stick around for a few moments to see if we have any further questions.